All right, everybody, we're back. We're going to do a new topic. This time it's factions and how not to get them. What is it called? The cognitive overload this time. They wanted me to talk about this because apparently they know I'm overloaded with trying to figure out all my factions in Scorn.
Yes, you
So
are.
I'll tell you what, why don't we go with Joe? What is a
Yeah.
faction to you? First, let's define what a faction is.
A faction is a group of more than one person, right? Usually an organization, right? Or a cabal or something like that. A group of people, more than one, usually half a dozen, I think, at least in my head canon, that have an aim, an agenda, a goal, a thing they want to achieve that is counter to other groups, aims, goals, and agendas, right? And so they're usually they could be out in the open, they could be not in the open, right? But they're a group of
Absolutely.
beings, entities, right? um, Lovely souls who want to achieve something together.
All right.
That's what I. That's
Oh,
what I.
can someone belong to different factions at the same time?
Well,
Yes, I think as
yeah,
long as they're. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Paul. Yeah, go.
yeah, you can belong to different factions. Well, it depends what the factions rules are. I mean, can you be
Sure.
part of the Zentarum and the part of the Harpers? I'm gonna say maybe not. Don't get caught. You can do it, but don't reveal your membership cards to either one of them. Don't let them find it on your person.
Yeah. You could
And
be a Freemason.
what kind of factions can there be?
You could be a Freemason and be a member of the Catholic Church, for example.
So you
There's
get religious
Freemasons.
factions,
Yep.
Yep.
business factions,
Mm-hmm.
Thieves guilds,
professional. What's that?
thieves guilds.
Yeah.
Yeah, thieves guilds.
As an attorney, I have to be a part of, basically what is the modern day equivalent of a guild, right? An attorney's guild, the bar association. Every attorney, a member of a bar, you have basically a bar association member. There's local bar associations, there's statewide, there's national, there's international, and everything in between. There's ones related to certain topics, right? So yeah, different factions, all with different goals.
So right there just kind of gives you a sample of how many freaking aspects there are to a single faction that can have so many qualities within it. You've got your basic group, your group of people that are there for a topic or an interest that they're trying to go. It can be hidden. It can be out in the open. It can be within a religious group. It can be within a business group. It can be within a political group. It could be different, the same factions that are supposedly fighting for the same things that may be in different areas might be at odds just because they don't agree how to achieve that particular
The
goal.
means of
The
execution,
means to get there.
right? You could have neutral
Exactly.
good and chaotic good and lawful good, all trying for the greater good, doing it different ways. If we want to get into the alignment system, right?
So how do you take all these aspects? Because I mean, basically, when you take all these different variables within a faction, and we're just talking about a group of people. We're not talking about the individuals quite yet in the factions. The groups themselves can be just limitless, I would say, of what they could do. How do we filter that down without going crazy? I would love to tell you, but I don't know. But what I can tell you is,
Thank you for coming, everybody. Have a good
yeah,
day.
see you. Good night, everybody. That was it. No, I in a lot of ways, faction play is like drawing a map. You got your map down, and one of the first things you can do, just from a view of a city map, you can start seeing factions. Like this is the Thieves Guild area. Remember the old maps? This was the dock ward. This was the nobles ward. You can start kind of getting a general grouping of people. You can see that general type of thing, and then you keep on filtering down. Well, I'm going to just take Paul's game as an example, even your game too, Joe, in the beginning when you were part of the Diggers Guild. So the Diggers Guild and the Thieves Guild, we'll take those. So we'll just take the guilds for right now. So you've got a group of people within these organizations, and one's employment. I would say the other one's employment too, but it's actually got a belief beyond just an employment kind of goal type of thing. But within each one of those guilds, there's like cells of different groups, and Paul's they got different territories. There's different princes that rule different territories. Within Joe's thing, he had different supervisors that had different crews. Within Paul's, there's like what do we got, Paul? We got so we got the silent knives.
Right.
And now we're really talking about organization structure. I guess I'm getting away from faction.
The guards are a faction in our.
The guards are a faction.
The Spears of Seraph is a faction.
Well, I guess the Temple of Serath would be a faction, and then that would be a subset of it. And then because all the houses, all the religions would have to be their own faction, but a lot of them would line up. I mean, like you got the Temple of Delaqueen and Pausemius, they kind of have like-minded, but the way they go about it are two different ways in a lot of ways. Although Parson Roberts got a little nasty with his folks with the Spears of Serath.
I like it.
Yeah, Joe, you would have enjoyed it. Yeah, one of the Parsons of Pausemius basically took out 4 Spears of Serath by himself. Yeah,
nice. Because he's not in my game anymore, right? He got the other guy replaced him at this point.
What's that?
Parson Roberts isn't in mine anymore, is he?
Yeah, he's the one up in Hounshead.
Oh, he's the one in Hounshead. Yeah. Okay.
His brother's the one who passed away in Scorn.
Yes. Speaking of guards before, Paul, you said, remember, Tim, and I was running through Scorn trying to survive, and I hit the old house that I used to live in, and I'm rummaging through old stuff, from the people downstairs, and you had the guards show up, right? And one guard who was a member of the guards, right? He kind of saved my ass and let me go, and come to find out he used to be a digger, and so he had a former alliance, right, with the Diggers Guild, and a bit of that allegiance carried over because I was a digger, right, which is a sewer worker, right, and now he's a guard, so he's looking out for an old brother, right? I go back to Scorn, I hear one of the old sewer workers is in trouble. I risk my life and take an extra couple days to help him out and fix his leg, basically, with a brace, even though it kind of fucked me hard. You know what I mean? There's that guild alliance, the allegiance, right, the loyalty, right? And so what do you do for the people you're loyal to? Right. I mean, if you want to look at it, clans and families, right? Like the mafia families or clans in Ireland or Scotland or whatever, whatever kilt you wear, you're part of that clan, and goddamn, you're gonna kick the Hatfields and McCoys factions, right? Stuff like that. Yeah. Now we know what factions are. Now, how the fuck do you make use of them? Like you said before, right? How do you do it without blowing
I think you go with factions like NPCs. So you got to give them a name. You got to have some identifying marker. Yep. And then I think you list maybe like 3 qualities of that. Usually I'll do 2 or 3 properties or qualities or beliefs that they run their faction, what their faction, like you said, their goal is in that. And then you have to maybe do a determined way of how they achieve that goal, like the ways, the means, and how they do that and whatnot. And I think and then maybe a couple important people within the faction that sort of represent the faction within there. But I think a lot of ways, for me, it's better to do it through play than try to get the generalized, like I just said, 3 properties, maybe 2 or 3 representatives of that faction, and just that way you kind of have your structure of your faction, and you kind of have an idea, and you don't have to remember everybody, because I mean, as much I love running city campaigns, but making NPCs does get tedious, exhaustive after a while. And then what ends up happening, and then they become if you don't have enough break in between, they get a little samey.
Yes.
They get a little samey for just because your brain starts to hit the default button kind of thing. If you don't have some reminders. And I think that's good for factions. So then when you do need to introduce somebody from a faction, you already have a generalized idea of maybe how they're going to react or how they're going to act, and go from there. I mean, you can get into the whole deal with like who they agree with or who they don't, or things like that. But in a lot of ways, it can be so individualistic. Just do a faction name, 3 qualities of the faction, and 2 important NPCs.
Important. That's a key word, because what you're talking about, when the first time you said important, my mind went to the head of the faction and the underboss, right? But not necessarily important. They matter because they set the tone and guidance or whatever of how things are going. They're the ones who are ultimately in charge of it, right? But importance means ultimately important to the PCs who are they interacting with, right? So Paul is probably not interacting with the Grand Poobah, of every single, head of his faction. He's in, he's you got layers, right, within each thing. You have cells and in certain groups, and you got layers, right? So Paul, I'm sure, is not going having lunch every day with the head of his fucking thieves guild, right? Probably, I don't know. But the point is, the people Paul are interacting with are important to Paul. And so while you say important characters, yeah, you need to, figure out who the head people are because they're powerful. But who the ones important to Paul are the ones he's dealing with every fucking day. And all three of those guys, members of the same faction or guild or thieves guild or whatever it is, have the same goals, but they could have different agendas, have their own and means of implementing those goals, right? Like they want to achieve the thing, but they also want a piece for themselves. The other guy wants to achieve the thing. He doesn't care about it, and he wants to overachieve on the thing to get a promotion, right? So he's going to be more vicious. The third guy wants to achieve the thing, but not really. He's not going to risk his ass, right? And so here, you got three guys who are important to Paul's PC, all trying for the same thing in completely different ways. That's going to affect what happens in the game, right? The one who wants to risk his ass, he's going to run away. The one who wants to overachieve, he's going to start the fucking fight and make sure he really makes sure that they know they need to pay, goddamn it, right? And the third guy is like, yeah, we got the money. I'm going to take 5 gold, but they're not looking to give it to my mother. Same faction, 3 different outcomes,
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. When did you start doing factions, Tim? In because I know we all do it in gun dungeons and this and that, but when did you? I think they're mostly a city game thing predominantly. When did you start doing that shit or dealing with it?
I mean, I started it. I mean, if you think back, Village of Hamlet. There's factions already built in. I mean, from the very beginning, they were already built. They were pre-baked into the thing, and so when I started creating my own stuff, I made sure the intrigue was also within maybe the small village you get into. There's going to be like, some sort of, it's just a matter of that. I don't like them. Or I do like them, and it just could be, just one person, but it's still a little faction because they don't like each other.
Yes.
Kind of thing. And it might be as simple as, I broke my shovel and he won't let me borrow his, and now I can't get my field dug the way I want to. Just something very simple, very basic, but it's a point of contention that adds interest into a game, even if it's just something just as minute. But that's what really builds depth into your game. Just even in small.
How do you manage the post once things have happened? How do you then manage the load of all those factions? Right, there's a bunch of factions within Scorn. I was going to say too, Melungeons, their faction.
Melungeons.
The Melungeons,
right?
Their faction.
I still can't pronounce that either.
How do you then post your report? How do you process then? This is part of the mental load. It's like, okay, well, those factions all did something. Everybody's got the Shadow Guard did their thing. The Silent Knives did their thing. How do you then process going forward to say, well, what does this mean? What are the implications? How do you manage the implications of the things that happened?
Like this, Paul, just like this. You have your conspiracy theory board. You got your yarn. You got your drawing of lines between them. You got your index cards for each faction, and then you go fucking crazy, right? That's how you handle it.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't go to that extreme, but yeah. So let's take the Melungeons in this case. I believe it was basically the main encounters with Joe and Ken, and that. So there was 2 power players with the Melungeons, and they basically eliminated the top guy.
Badass.
And everything. So there was a reaction. So what was the reaction of that? There was a vacuum of power now. There's a vacuum of power. Well, then the new guy came in, which was Obadiah. Obadiah was coming in, and he was this young buck who was really trying to come up. But boy, did he get cut short. Ken wanted nothing to do. Ken had a short encounter with him, and he didn't. Him up. This is one of those. This is another topic we could talk about, where you think you're going to have this cool established NPC they're going to be able to play off of, but then your players decide, now we're ending this relationship. We're terminating this relationship right now.
Get out of here, Bellamy. Get lost.
Yeah, Bellamy. Exactly. Yeah.
Get out of here.
But now that they have created, not only did they get rid of the leader, but they They got rid of the next apparent leader that looked strong. Now there's this vacuum of leadership within their people. So now I think farther out than that? No, what they're doing right now is isolating. So if they decided to engage with them, then I'd have to process it, think it a little bit, maybe a couple roles, think of some ideas and come up with it, which would be a blast to do. But they don't have any interest in dealing with Melungians. They try to avoid them at all costs to begin with.
Yeah.
But as far as theirs, basically they're in isolation for a while because it's going to take a while, even though my game plays, we don't have a lot of gaps between adventures. It's almost like your guys are working 24/7 on adventuring, kind of thing when you're in a game. So they'll probably pretty much be out of the game for the rest of the time unless you guys choose to engage them. And then I would think of it, but like in Scorn, it's very, as like Paul will contest, a lot of his interactions is within his small circle of people. He's got his crew, he's got his immediate boss, and then he's got some outside factions that are always messing with him or trying to ally with him, like you met the goldsmith the other day.
Right.
And there was some even though it's a faction, but they're under the same umbrella because they're on an overview, they're in the same faction. But when you go down a layer, they're in different factions. Because they're two different families under the guild. So even though they're the Thieves Guild as a whole, they are separate families. And so one of the families reached out to Paul, knowing his new position, and he knew he had some influence. He said, "Hey, I've got this interest," and Paul's character is known to be very good at estimating the value of things. And so this halfling prince in title within the Thieves Guild would want him to do these things. So how did that come about? It was actually a random encounter that I rolled up before game, like we talked about on one of our former things.
Video.
And I thought about, I'm like, oh, this would be a cool way to introduce Paul to a different family, because the only other family he's been dealing with was these psycho Drake brothers who they're basically brutes and, trying to take it, even though they're the same Thieves Guild, they like messing with other, they're always looking to expand their business. And so the really interesting thing about Paul's thing is I could get a whole campaign's worth of content just dealing with the factions within his own Thieves Guild. There's other stuff coming in and out, but a majority of it is almost within.
So how do you limit the scope, Tim? Because what you're talking about is what we're talking about is scope creep, I think, right? I think that's really the key to the cognitive overload is, there's a million factions in Scorn. There's a million agendas going on.
Exactly.
It seems like the way to limit it is the ones that the PCs
choose to engage with,
or the ones that choose to engage with the PCs, or the ones where the PCs have an agenda that overlaps with somebody else's agenda, and therefore you got to have a clash of agendas, right? I mean, that seems to be the key.
So, like, Paul just encountered this basically independent guy. I would say he was under the noble. His name, remember what was his name? The Sir Etheridge or something like that. So his job is he takes it on to go into the harrowing and try to clear it out as much as he possibly can. Saves Paul's ass.
Oh, good job.
But then what ended up happening is his family needed something from, he didn't know it, Lord Dithridge's, Lord Dithridge's house. And Paul went in and broke into his house and stole a bunch of shit.
Way to go.
Though Lord Dithridge just saved his ass, kind of thing.
Oops.
There you go.
Sorry.
Not sorry.
So
his encounter with Lord Dithridge the first time was just a random thing.
Yeah.
But then he chose to engage with Lord Dithridge's faction, I should say, by going to rob his place. So you can use a faction and then you can build on it if you want. It's a nice little interaction, because I think Paul's sphincters, shrinks a little bit every time he sees like a Lord Dithridge banner kind of go. We saw him, I think, in the last episode, and I think he was a little worried about doing.
Well, things catch up to you. You don't know when it's going to catch up to you, but you're always watching. As a player, the PC is also maybe wondering, that could catch up to me at some point. We don't really know, but that's how it goes.
But like in a city, I mean, it's just tough. I mean, you go with your players, and then what you got to do is have a basic idea of how your city works and just kind of roll with it.
When do you abandon? Because like example, you throw up the Drake brothers.
Yes.
It's kind of like looking at when you're looking at a streaming series on TV, and you see this thing pop up,
plot line,
and this plot line shows up, and they never go back to it. They say, well, that was just this happened, but they never revisit it in a new season. They never go back to it. It was a one-off deal. How do you know then, like example with the Drake brothers, was that did other things happen within the scope of the game, or even where you said, yeah, I don't like that. You're the writer of the series. You're going, I don't think I like that plot line. I don't think that's because I had this confrontation with a Drake brother who basically was, or from the Drake brothers, who was, I thought it was going one way, and you may be completely misleading me at this point to say, oh no, it's coming. You just
better
don't know when
tighten up that sphincter, Paul. It's coming.
Or you're right, which is the DMs, which is great because you get to bring something back that you go, oh, I completely forgot about that. That's the thing. How do you judge that then as to whether you abandon it or you're just delaying it?
Well, I think that's an episode all itself. I think I talk about the long play, because that's one of my favorite things to do as a GM. It's like I'll let you look at something and Joe will ask me a million questions about it, and I'll go, okay, possible. And then go ahead. I'm sorry, Paul.
I was going to say, if you want to get rid of some of the cognitive load, because at some point you can't spin all these plates.
Right.
So when do you then say, I need to abandon all hope for this because it is now gone, is taking up so much space, I can't anymore.
Or it's not even that it takes up so much space. It's just not taking enough of your guys' interest to engage with it. If I see you guys, if you guys don't seem like you're interested in, or you're more focused over here, I'm going to start front loading the stuff that you're interested in. I may not completely abandon it, like the Drake brothers. I don't know if you remember the one line that came, you haven't been engaging with the Drake brothers so much recently, but do you remember what the Goldsmith told you? Why that happened?
Yeah, to some degree. Yeah. One of the brothers is missing.
Right. Exactly. So there's something going on with the Drake brother. You don't even know. The one guy kind of hinted that he knew. Yeah. And that's maybe why the decrease. Now, see, like Joe sometimes thinks I just don't do these minutia things. He does this one episode of like, I don't understand why the beer and Hound's Head's so expensive. Tim doesn't explain all that, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. How does it cost a fucking silver piece when a silver piece could buy you like a longsword or whatever the fuck? I mean, the price discrepancy, nobody would drink in Hound's Head or they're all millionaires. I don't understand how the fuck that works. I still don't get the fucking economy of it all.
And then it doesn't cost $1 million. It costs double. So yeah. Yeah, well, because it's out in the middle of nowhere and nobody likes going up there because it's such a fucking dangerous place.
Yeah, but who would drink? There'd be nobody at the bar drinking.
Who's the only people that go up to Hound's Head? Adventurers and people who stand against the wall waiting to die, basically.
Yeah, and they don't even buy the drinks. You got to buy for them.
Right. So there's a reason. There's an economy up there. It may not make sense to you because it's not going to make sense to you because Joe sometimes he wants to play the omnipotent character who wants to know these things. It's like, well, you wouldn't know this shit.
It's self-defense.
It might not make sense. But that's because your character's not in there, and that's the same with factions. Like factions might be doing something that you completely don't understand because you're not within there. You're not within that world, why the hell are the goblins like, building this fort out in the, in the woods again? And it's like, I thought they were joining us. Why are they out there? That doesn't make any sense. They got a perfectly safe spot here. Why would they do that? Well, if you don't engage with them, you're never going to know that you're not just going to get the knowledge just by, asking the GM. And if you do get that information by just asking the GM, shame on the GM.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. True.
I mean, that's the whole part of the role playing engaging. Because if you don't do that, I think you lose the meat of the campaigns of having those players interaction. Because if you're not that Snickle would come up there all, big bad 2-foot gnome, demanding answers or anything. You just, and then Paul, if he goes up there, he might figure out, well, shit, I can start trading with these guys. I can sell these guys. I can get somebody to deliver some, I don't know, some weapons up here to these guys, and I can make good mint out of these goblins or whatever. So it just depends on I guess that's my point. I'm doing a long thing about it. You don't always need to explain the actions of a faction. It's the factions, because some of the stuff is going to be secretive. Some is going to be public knowledge, but that character might not know why they're doing it, because they just not, they're not in that circles that would know unless they engage with somebody to know.
No.
And then the other trick that gets tough is when you have someone who's, because everybody's going to be involved probably in multiple factions. You've got your family, you got your friends, you got your businesses, you got, you could have a noble. He's part of the noble faction who belongs to Sarath, who's in the Sarath faction, who has his family, another faction, and he might have belonged to an adventurer group. So then he's got his adventure group faction. So you've got all these little circles in this Venn diagram, that intersect around one person. And I would just say, just focus on what the players are focusing on a lot of times, or what they could possibly focus around. Just get a general knowledge, because if you try to define, especially in a city campaign, if you're doing a village campaign, it's much easier. I mean, the load for that's pretty easy. You don't have to. You don't have to. The factions are smaller, and the people amount are much smaller. So.
You would think, Tim. You would think. But do you remember this chubby funster Greg Christopher did the video series on Lost Mines of Phandelver, and I did my response videos and told him he was stupid about a lot of those points he made.
Until the end.
Until the end, he was more wrong at the beginning and then at the end we were agreeing almost everything, right? So it was that. But one of the things at the very beginning that we agreed on, he was thinking it's too complicated, this and that. You want to start him off in a dungeon, don't get in, but the whole bit, and we disagreed on that part. But one of the things we agreed on was that having 5 fucking factions in a village of a population of 9, right. was dumb. All right. You don't have all these different factions and orders in the village, but for some reason, Wizards of the Coast treats factions in D&D these days, or at least with the Lost Mines of Phandelver in 2014, as high school clubs that you walk around in a cafeteria and you sign up. I want to be in this club. I want to be in this club. I want to be in that club. And you sign up for every club under the sun. And all you got to do is like the barest thing that shows that you have a similar shared goal or something, right? And there's no vetting, there's no investigation into you. They take anybody, right? And so this is where they do it wrong, because they think everybody should be in a faction, a group, like the Harpers or something, or the Zentrum or something like that, right? And they think that being a part of those groups are fun. But when you could just sign up like in high school, sign a sheet of paper, you didn't earn shit. There needs to be some level of, I've made my bones, like in the mafia, right? You're a made man when you do something, there needs to be, you have to have earned it.
I mean, I don't completely agree with that, because I believe families are a faction, and you don't really have to do much. I mean, even most religious ones, you just have to go show up, follow some customs and stuff like that. When you get more into the more maybe secretive or more dangerous type of factions, then definitely there's going to be some sort of vetting or hazing that you
think that an evil organization like the Zentrum would just pretty much say no or investigate the shit out of you first, right? But in this version, the Zentrum, because you saved their box of something or whatever it is, it was like lowest level that you're in. The Zentrum, the Lord's Alliance, the Harpers, the Emerald Enclave, the Order of the Gauntlet, all these different factions are just sitting there waiting to be joined. And that's I think factions are wrong.
Well, what it sounds like, if I remember correctly, and I honestly don't remember it that well because I haven't read read it since I think I first bought it.
Yeah.
But I think my first impression is when I read those factions, they were almost like alignments. If you go with this, you're just that alignment and you're with them. Instead of being neutral evil, you're a Harper. If you're chaotic evil, you belong to this one. So you kind of went with the group what your alignment kind of would have.
It was more
shaded.
class-based, honestly. Emerald
Oh, it was more
Order, Emerald
class-based?
Enclave
Okay.
was Rangers and Druids, right? You know what I mean?
Okay.
And Order of the Gauntlet, and that was more Paladins, right? And Fighters were Lords Alliance, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of alignment anyways then too, because
It is
Druids
indeed.
and Rangers
Yeah.
are neutral, Paladins are lawful good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why couldn't you join? What if you were a lawful good, I don't know, regular fighter?
You would be joining the Lords Alliance most likely, rather than the Order of the Gauntlet, because of the ethos involved. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It
was more class involved then.
It seemed more class. I mean, I'm going by memory too, and I ran it a few times, but it was years and years ago, and I'm going by memory here. But you remember that, Paul? What was your take? Do you remember how it all went?
Oh yeah, I remember it as being more class based, because I think you could be of different alignments.
Yeah.
And obviously too, I mean, every faction has factions within it. So you can be in a faction and be neutral evil in the Lord's Alliance, or and say, hey, look, we're going to obey the larger rules, but then we have our own little side hustles going. So
yeah.
So was it that bad, the faction play in there because of that then, Joe?
It was bad only because as soon as you walk into the village, you have ample opportunities at first level before you're anybody of power, and before you're anybody really knows who the hell you are, and you've been vetted. They have opportunities to join various factions. And Wizards applies this throughout all of their different modules. They really think faction play is an important thing, but they do it wrong. They do it just wrong. And I think that's why did I do it wrong, Paul?
I say it's undervalued is what I say. It's undervalued because, and it's undervalued to the players, because DMs don't run those factions the way those factions should be run. They run it like the cafeteria. If you just sign up, and then that you have to work your way, there should be things like, hey, there's an entry exam of some kind that you have to be in this town for so long, or you have to compete, or you have to do something to get in. There has to be some sort of vetting process. But it's also, like I said, it's undervalued by players. I can't tell you how many times, that I've offered players opportunities to be a part of something, but they say no, but they don't realize the aspect that, oh, by the way, they can get you weapons maybe, or they can get you other resources that you would not otherwise think of. So I think it's underdeveloped and underutilized in many ways.
How would you change it, Paul, to make it better? If you were to write Lost Minds of Phandelver or any D&D module?
Well, no, here I have a specific question. Actually, it's for both of you. Since let's use my game as an example. Both of you guys have been in factions. From both of you, what do I do well, and what do I need to you would like to see me improve on to make the faction thing seem a little bit more, I don't know, more defined or more interesting or something like that.
My mother didn't raise no fool. My characters and Paul's characters' lives are on the line every fucking time we roll dice in your game, and we're going to tell you how you suck before the campaign is over.
Some are more dangerous. Some are more dangerous than others that I know of.
I mean, come on.
No, honestly, no, because I haven't asked you guys, because usually after the game, I always like to do a little debriefing sometimes and just talk about the game a little bit and see, did this work? Did that not work? And then, tweak some stuff. I have no ego when it comes to that kind of shit.
Sure you don't. No. All right.
Trust me, I don't kill you guys. You guys kill you guys.
Something to do with the red dragon walking down the street of Scorn. No, none of that.
No,
doesn't
not at all.
It's not that.
Doesn't have that much.
You want to hit it first, Paul?
Well, yeah, I think just the things that I said. I think if you're the DM, you have to put it out there that the engagements or the encounters that they have with a faction will either make them want to join it. Is a faction currently recruiting? Are they looking for folks, right? Is this to flesh it out? And like I'm like in my little crew in Tim's game, well, I can kind of recruit who I want. So I'm kind of building my faction, right? Even my faction within a faction, my crew. I'm building my crew as I choose. So I'm always asking or looking for talent or those type of things. But I think the DM, once again, to make them better, to make them do whatever, the DM has to care about them. That if they're playing a role in a living world, and you're rather than you're just gonna have the emblem or your little pin or whatever you got,
Mhm.
you know, you have to flesh it out a lot more, you know, to do that, and how you play it with the characters to make it of interest to them of what they're offering, and those kind of things. And maybe they have a negative encounter, you know, with them, which means they, you know, they want to stay away. So, you know, it just depends. If you got 4 players and 4 different factions, or if they're all playing the same faction or the same, or they all want to join the same one, you know, that depends as well. So I think it's a matter of how the DM, does the DM have a plan for those factions within their world? If they do not, then it becomes what we said Wizards of the Coast makes it, that it's just a club you belong to, and
Right.
occasionally, you know, pay dues or whatever you do, and it doesn't really mean anything.
But do you? That's the thing I was going to get at, Tim, is the one thing I think that's missing. First, my personality is I'm not a joiner. All right. I don't like,
Right.
I don't join things. I'm not that kind of person. And that bleeds over into my characters. Number one. Number two, I think that goes to the why I don't like to join things. And this maybe does come through my characters is because the sense of duty or obligation, because most people look at factions as what you said, Paul. Oh, if I join the Harpers, that might, if I show up in a town and I just lost my bow in the last fight because of reasons, I can maybe get a bow because I'm a Harper. If I find the ranger in town, he gives me a bow benefit. That's obvious, right? And players like, oh, cool, I get free shit if I join. There's never any sort of thing about dues ever, right? In any of these organizations, right? There's a tithe if you're a church member back in the old days with the paladins and clerics. There's never any dues. There's never any sense of obligation either, right? That's the one thing I never see in your game, Tim, but maybe in a sense that I'm a digger, might take on certain obligations, right? My allegiance to the people, my friends in the guild is not to the diggers, it's to my fellow sewer workers, right?
Well,
That's
you
why
had
I hung
jobs to
around
do.
there.
Remember,
What's
you
that?
had jobs you had to do.
I had a job to do.
That was your obligation. Remember, you'd
Well,
have to go
as a
clean
digger,
up
yes, I had to go clean here. But talking
Yeah.
from a thieves guild perspective,
Yeah.
or Tim, let's say this. Let's say,
Yeah.
one of the diggers back when I was a digger, second level guy in Scorn before it all hit the fan,
Right.
one of they helped me out because some guy was harassing me. I
Right.
never had to do that for somebody else.
Right.
I never had to go and say, like, the guy says to me, hey, we hooked you up. This other guy here, a fellow digger, is getting harassed by 3 spears of Sarath who have it out for him. There's 6 of us are going to go find them and beat the fuck out of them tonight.
Right.
There's a moral dilemma, right? Oh shit, but they helped me out from that guy who was trying to steal my shit. Now I got an obligation and a duty to go help somebody else out, and it might bump up, but it might bump up against my moral dilemma.
No. Remember, you just did.
What, recently?
You helped. Yeah. Remember, you didn't belong to the Diggers Guild anymore. But
yeah, I know.
But you had, what was his name, James or Joseph or whatever his name was.
I had to hook him up with the leg. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to. So you,
but
that, because he helped you in the past, that it could screw you now. You decided. I mean, that was an old faction. That was just a friends thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a friend's obligation because he helped me out, but it didn't bump up against it. It put me at risk, but it didn't give me a moral dilemma. Right.
Okay.
That's the one thing I could say is I've never had a group, a faction in an organization I've been with, or even at fellow adventurers or fellow PCs. I never had a moral dilemma come from that. Right.
Gotcha.
You're an underling in the mob, right? And you collect money and you run your rackets and blah, blah, blah. But every once in a while, Tony Soprano says, we got to go beat the fuck out of that guy because reasons. What reasons?
Ask Paul about that.
I'm the boss. Don't ask. You don't ask questions. I say you do.
Right.
Bring the crowbar and we're going to beat him. Right. There's the obligation that bumps up against my moral dilemma. Right. And so there you go. So that's the one
I guess my defense in that way, you're a digger. It's not going to be a lot of fighting. It's jobs.
True.
It's more of a professional thing.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
But Paul could have that.
Well, Paul does get that.
The moral dilemma. Do you get the moral dilemmas? Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I just haven't had them. You know?
Yeah, and then as far as your dues or yeah, I mean, I get that. It's just not anything. It's more of a and Paul's thing. This I'm going to sound like a hypocrite, but I don't want the guild to just become I got to collect 10 silver pieces. That kind of minutia bores me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I get it. I mean, but I'm just not interested in like, oh, got a month, you got to pay your 5 silver guild fee.
Here's the way around it.
Huh?
Here's a way around that. I mean, this is not you specifically, but it's an example that you brought up. Flip the tables. I'm a harper. I'm a ranger. I live in some village, Fandelver, let's say. All right, or Fandolin. I'm living in Fandolin. I'm a 3rd level ranger. I just, I got limited resources. And let's say I just bought a new whatever the hell bow, and I got limited resources. But I'm a harper. A fellow harper rolls into town, an NPC, right? And the DM's NPC comes up and says, "Oh, you're a fellow ranger. Look, we share the same." Whatever that secret handshake, whatever it is, your bonafides are out there, right? Oh, how you doing? Bluto, good. Popeye. Okay, listen, Popeye, I lost my bow in the last fight. You got another one? And Popeye's like, no, motherfucker, I got 100 gold. That's how much it costs, but that's all I got, and that leaves me 2 gold. But you're a harper. Now I got to buy you a fucking bow. There's an obligation that's going to cost you something. It's not a moral dilemma, but it's a personal sacrifice, right? Yep. I'm not saying that for your game, but just as a general thing. Right. I think that with great, with the stuff that you get, there's also stuff that you got to give, right? Yeah. So whether it's
also gets paid off. I was going to say it also gets paid. By the way, I have an entire book of what I owe Sidwin every week. I just want to point out that I know what I owe Sidwin every time. So I just want to point that out. The dues are there. Okay. Also, the fact that sometimes you pay, the way you pay isn't in money. You pay dues, but you pay in missions, right? You pay by taking assignments.
Yes.
That says, hey, if you want to stay, stay good with us, then we need you to go do this. And then, come back and give us 10% of what you find.
Yep.
Yep.
But
I think,
and I think that's,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Paul.
I was just going to go back to say that the managing the load, it goes back to scope. It goes back to this versus this.
Yeah.
You can't manage them all. You can't.
No. Right.
Be careful what you create, and then create only as you need to, and use them per game or whatever you choose to use. But keep your scope like this until you're ready to kind of move out a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, because like with in your
conspiracy board here, keep track of it.
Yeah, like with your game with the Diggers Guild, it was focused on more exploration. Because I mean, you did a lot of exploration. You did more of just kind of relationship building within your guild.
Yeah.
The rival gang, the vultures, you had, with them, and just kind of, and then your family with Alice, even though, it's funny that you said you're not a joiner, but you belong to two different things in my campaign, and you still belong to the family, Alice's family. I mean, you're dedicated to them.
I latched onto that. That was something I could relate to.
Yeah.
So that was,
And so that's what I focused on, not dues or not even because even the fighting, you got to remember you had like you're a 2-foot guy. I'm not like if the Diggers had a problem, they're not going to go, hey, Snickle, grab your pick. Let's
grab
go.
A crowbar, grab your shovel and start beating a guy down.
Right. They're going to go grab drunk Joseph, or in case of Paul's character, what was his name? Rory the Roach. They're going to go get Rory. They're just going to get the big brutes and just, it's like, go at it. Where Paul's game, and this goes in their faction focus kind of thing, it's going to be more towards developing his crew, taking on assignments, but also taking on assignments he can handle. And then sometimes he's going to get out of his depth because I'm just like, and less in your case, Joe, but more in his case, he's going to have these obligations where he's going to have to take them, and he doesn't know what the hell he's getting into.
Yeah.
He didn't know when he had to break into Lord Dithrich's house if there was going to be a bunch of guards there waiting to, make a pin sack out of him, kind of thing. So I guess with all faction play, I focus on what's important within that faction, and also what the players are, want to interested. Because if Paul wasn't interested in building his own crew, then we start doing like independent stuff. He would, he might have a boss that he answers to, or he could just be a rogue of a rogue, kind of thing, and going on his own. But we were doing the Paul's has been a really good campaign with faction play. Your campaign, Joe, was really good for guild play, even though that's factions. The guild was a little bit more, but with Paul's, there's so many different layers to that. I mean, because they have like unhired help within the guild. They have the street gangs.
Yeah.
That they're not part of the faction, but they're associated to the faction.
Mm-hmm.
Because of location, not belief or anything. Safety is the big one, but safety and location.
Well, for my guys, loyalty, right, Tim? I mean, Miss Alice helped me out. I help her out. Just the way we set up our backstory, right? The diggers helped me out. I helped them out. He did me a solid. I see you suffering. I got to help him out, even at the risk of my own life. Now, what you set up in this thing, we jumped ahead in Snickle's lifetime 10 years, but he's aged like 30 or 40 because of what's going on with that hag's curse, right? And so what you did at the beginning is you had the whole village help me, give me a birthday party, sent me out, and gave me clues on how to help myself, right? And the whole thing was, and they all love you, they all care about you, which in my, we didn't play that backstory of 10 years, obviously, but in my head, that means like, it was like that, It's a Wonderful Life moment, where everybody shows up with the money. Remember that scene? And he's like, where did this come from? It's because of all the good you've ever done in your life. It's all coming back to you here for all the help.
Right.
And so that's the way I look at it now. People are helping me for no reason, just because they like me or because they're good people. So that sets up an obligation in Snickle's head of loyalty. They help me at the risk of their own fucking life, right? Especially Finkus and now this adventure group that's with me. If they ever need anything, I'm there, regardless of the risk. You know what I'm saying? So because they save me, they help me, even if it doesn't work out for me, they tried. And therefore, I'm always on the obligation list for whatever you need. Just give me a call, right? So that's the loyalty thing. That's big. That's big.
Absolutely. It's fun to play that, and it's fun to develop.
Yeah,
it's one of Joe. Like I told Joe at the time, that was the first time I ever threw a birthday party for a character.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. It was fun. It's like, it was my birthday, because you said it's your birthday. I'm like, it's my birthday? Yes. Let me get a drink. This is great. What did I get for presents? They're all giving me shit.
Exactly.
It's like, this is cool. Good way to start a campaign. My birthday.
That's right.
Yeah. No, that's fun. And that's the kind of shit. I think that's the difference too. There's an aspect of this, what we're talking about here wouldn't work in many Wizards of the Coast publications these days, because the other aspect of it, besides the fact that they don't know how to use factions, they look at it as a classroom you sign up for, first day of class or whatever, as a group in school. They also don't know how to do it because, number one, they write railroads, and true great faction play happens in a sandbox, because there's a constant interaction of moving pieces and agendas and shifting, slide, everything changes, right? You do something, it rearranges the pool table. All the balls are now in different places. As soon as one faction, including the PCs and their adventuring party, is a faction, as soon as they do something, all the balls are rearranged. Now you got a completely different web of things that's going on, right? That's what you got to keep in your head, is the fucking web. And that's a sandbox. Wizards writes railroads, and so you're not going to see an example of good faction play, which is why we do these videos, because they're not helping you. We got to help you, right? So click like and subscribe if you like what we're doing now, and throw a comment. So, because we're trying to help, and we make 19 cents off each fucking video, so click like and subscribe.
Wait, you guys make that much?
If that, right? And the other thing too, going forward, is that Wizards writes campaigns, right? But their typical campaign lasts 7 sessions, 8 sessions, right? That's what they say. And you get to like 7th level. So you move up a level every session, and the typical one lasts 7 or 8 sessions.
How do they know that, though? Where did they get that information from?
Research and polls. They did in-depth, legit polls. And so the average level PC is a 7. The average length of the campaign is 7 or 8 or 6 or 7 or something like that. And so true faction play comes from a 3-year campaign, not a 3-week campaign. Right? A true faction play is massive immersion. And so if the DM is not learning these skills at a low level, they're still riding with training wheels. They're never realize that there's something else out there that they need to.
But I would argue, though, if you're very skilled, you can make an adventure like a Village of Hamlet and put faction play in that, and it only might be three sessions. you can introduce it in there, and that it might be just small movements because of the size of it. But
Yeah.
I think if you're good and you do the subtle stuff, I think anybody can do it. I mean, even
Yes.
I understand the Wizards of the Coast things, because to write a true sandbox, you all you can do is all you can do really, if you're writing something, is put chess pieces on different places of the board,
Yes. Yes.
and then you have to let the DM move them.
But you got to show them how to play chess.
You
That's
do,
the problem.
but
You know?
that's the thing. I mean, but then you're railroading them then.
Well, that's
No,
checkers.
you got to show the GM how to play chess in a free sandbox way, not in a railroady way. That's what I'm saying. You got to show them how to play a real sandbox game, how to move.
How
the
would you
pieces.
rate that up, though? That's a
I don't
different
know.
thing.
That's the
That's the
problem.
thing.
That's 40,
That's
50 years
Joe's
of
next
experience.
Yeah,
That's
next
my
Joe.
next book.
Yeah, because that's the trouble. Because I mean, they are trying to sell adventures, and they're doing. And I mean, I completely agree with you on that part of it, Joe. I mean, and it's just the like I think they just they do it for economic reasons, for writing campaign books, because that's what makes sense and what's
50
they can make
bucks
money on.
rather than 6
But I
bucks.
wish they would go back to the the old 32-page module.
Yep.
And like I said, and I'm getting off topic here, but this is where I think they got this freaking semi-pro league in their DMs guild. They've got all these writers writing for them. Pick out your top sellers, get 3 or
Yeah.
4 of them, check out their work, have
Yeah.
them write adventures for you.
Yeah.
You got them
Yeah.
right there. Just use
They're
them
there.
and hire
You-
them. Just say, hey, write an adventure, and it could be a 32-pager or
Yeah.
what, whatever. And that
Yeah.
way, they're not. You could say we'll supply you with maybe some artwork, or this is what our budget artwork or
Mhm.
whatever. Just, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it makes too much sense, but I mean, there's a lot of good writers that are
Yeah.
down there, and they could really push their product forward by allowing these guys who love the game, and they're doing it because they want to make great adventures, not because they're trying to fill a word count or a page count.
I think in this regard, Tim, DMing is just hit me. I mean, this may be a whole nother topic of a different video, but it just hit me. It's like an apprenticeship, right? The way you
Mhm.
learn shit. The way I learned how to run city campaigns is from you and Rob. The way you learned it was from playing in Rob's game. Rob
Mhm.
mastered it somehow. Rob figured it out, right? And he played it
Yeah.
well. And he practiced, and he fucked up, and he fucked up, and he practiced, and he got better, and he played.
Absolutely.
He's
Yep.
been doing city state for 50 fucking years, right? And
Pretty
he
much,
gets
yeah.
better every time he does it. And you learn from him. And I played in yours. I'm like, I've never done a city game like this. How do you do it? And you learn from Rob. I jumped in Rob's. I learned more from, right? And
Yep.
so DMing is like an apprenticeship. You can't teach it in a book. You can only learn it from an
Right.
experienced good DM, if you're lucky enough to find one. Like I've been lucky enough to play in different games with great DMs
Yeah.
like you and Rob and others, right? And so it's not something you could ever learn in a book. It's something you have to see. And this is why people
Right.
sort of get blown away by things like Critical Role, because this guy's running a multi-year campaign and doing all this kind of faction play and doing all this long story, long play stuff,
Right.
right? I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Unfortunately, they changed the structure of it. Now it's like a radio drama. But season 1,
Sure.
at least the episodes I saw, the first few dozen, great, excellent, good stuff. Learn from those guys, learn from people, learn from these videos. Click like and subscribe if you learned anything today. All right.
Yeah, and then I mean, if you have something, your stories of how you use factions, or please add them in there, because I'm always
Yeah.
interested. I'm always interested to see how other people run games. I'm always fascinated to see how they do it, because we've all been running games I've been running games since I think 78, 79, but I in no way think I'm an expert. But I'm always learning. You could be a
Yeah.
1-year person, and you might have a fantastic idea, and I'm like, well, shit, I'm
Great.
stealing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm taking
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm taking that. That's great.
Yeah. Speaking of ideas, because you've listened for 53 minutes and 43
Oh
seconds.
God, you poor things.
Holy shit, you poor things. We're going to reward you, because here's a little look behind the scenes. And I'm just ringing this on these two
You're not going to
guys now.
stand up, are you, Joe?
You don't know what's coming. No, I'm not going to horrify them. I'm going to reward them. So here's the reward. They're listening this long. Listen this fucking long. These guys don't know what I'm going to say, but
No, we don't.
before every video, every Thursday, every day we record something, like, what are we going to talk about? And then we spend 15 fucking minutes trying to figure out what is our next 2 or 3 topics that we're going to record a video on. and we're looking for something that's interesting, something that could help you guys, something that we think would be a great topic that could help you guys be better DMs and better players, perhaps, right? So help us help you. Help me to help you. What was that, Jerry Maguire? You know, what do you want to hear us talk about? What do you guys want to hear for video topics? Put that in the comments, right? If this is stuff that would help us to help you be better DMs, help you guys be better players. If you could think of anything at all, don't worry about how stupid you think it might sound, because trust me, we've done some stupid fucking videos. All right, so don't worry about that. We're not above stupid.
Those are our best viewed ones, I think.
For whatever reason, drunk and or stupid are getting a lot of ratings. Who knew?
They relate. Yeah.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, yeah. So guys, if you have a topic, you're rewarded for listening for 55 fucking minutes. Throw a comment down there. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about. We could probably do a poll too on each of our channels. What do you want to hear us talk about on our Thursday show?
Well, if we have a poll, then we'll be picking the topics out.
What's that?
Well, yeah, but let them give all the topics, and then we'll do.
Yeah. That's what. Yeah. That's perfect.
Oh, that's what you meant. All right.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
That's how I interpreted it.
Okay.
I
You gave more. I don't think you did.
I made sense of it, I think. That's what I did.
Yeah. I'm retconning my understanding of that question. Yes. So yes. So fucking bourbon, bitches. Shut up. Might have puffed a little too. So who knew? So there we go. So we're an hour. Hope you learned something about factions. Because fuck, I gotta piss. Fucking bourbon, yeah.
Bourbon, that'll do it.
That'll do it. I got the weakest bladder ever. I had to get up. I watched Spider-Man. I got up 3 fucking times. They gotta go take a piss during the movie, because I had a few nips. I sneak a few fireballs in while I'm watching the movie, So it always opens to loosen up the fucking bladder, You gotta have fun though, man.
And on that note,
thank you, everybody. Please like and subscribe.
Aren't you glad you stuck around
for the 56-minute mark?
You almost missed that. You almost missed
55. You should have tipped out
a scene in a Marvel movie, huh?
I had to go for a 4th time, but I wanted to wait to the end credit scene afterwards. So I'm in the back, like, God damn it, I gotta go. Wait to the end credit scene. What the fuck is it? I was waiting in the back because I didn't want to have to fucking fight people to get to the urinal afterwards. And I've never once seen a fucking movie at a we have this 12-14 cinema thing. Without fail, my cinema I'm watching whatever the fuck movie in is 300,000 feet away from the pisser. It's never right across. Never right a fucking cross. I never get that lucky. I always have to fucking run down there, haul ass, and then get back, Well,
maybe that's how you should select your movies from now on.
I'll be
several
watching
movies across from the urinals there. Yeah.
Watching Gone with the Wind or some nonsense. Yeah. Anyhow, thank you, everybody.
Thanks for watching.
Please like and subscribe. We'll see you.
They're never coming back.
Never coming back. I'm not coming back. What are you talking about?
Where's your X card? You didn't pull the X card. You must have enjoyed it. So. You didn't pull it. You must have enjoyed it. If you didn't pull it, you must have enjoyed my piss talk.
I wouldn't say it was quite a violation.
You didn't rise to the level. All right. We didn't have the golden showers. We were just taking a piss. So, it's no big deal.
Yeah, that's right.
Golden showers. That's what we do. Anyway, that's a different video.
End it.
Thank you guys.
Now I'm going to do the X card. That's